Hello everyone. I'm here because I wanted to talk about the Stasis Turrets with the Stasis Warlock. Um, I guess what we have is different ways to do the same thing, and I can explain to you the way that I do it, but there are multiple ways to kind of get Stasis Turrets going if you want to get like a whole bunch out on the field at once. Um, oh, someone's doing an activity. So basically, let me show you what I do, and then I can kind of talk about some of the other methods, and then maybe you can go work on it and see what you like the most. I will say that in some cases, some of the ways that you do it kind of depends on certain things, and if you don't have everything necessary, then you won't be able to keep it up. One of the main things is you need to have lots of enemies. So if you're in a situation where there's not a whole bunch of enemies to freeze or to like take advantage of, then the turrets kind of slow down and you won't be able to make as many as you could have if you sort of have the enemies there to do it. So most of the methods are charge of light things, so that's the first thing you have to know. You need to use the osmomancy gloves, and basically you get 2 charges of cold snap grenades, and they recharge faster on direct impact, which is kind of strange. You have to charge your grenade or just throw your grenade at an enemy. It has to bounce off of them, and then it lands on the ground, and then it takes effect, because the grenade doesn't take effect until it hits the ground. And that's with all of the stasis grenades. They all have to hit the ground for it to actually do something. But the way that the exotic says is you have to actually throw the grenade and make direct impact on the enemy, and then you get like a boost of recharged grenade energy that way, and you'll notice the difference if you do that versus if you don't. So try as much as you can to hit an enemy and let it bounce off of them, whether you're using the cold snap pure or if you're using the turret. You charge a grenade, throw it at the enemy, let it bounce off of somebody, and then it lands on the ground and creates the turret. So there's that. The other thing is, I guess we'll start talking about the subclass first. So basically you can use any rift, any jump, there's only one melee, and you have to use cold snap grenade. So that's that part. There's only one super. What I am using, you need to definitely use Bleak Watcher if you want turrets, but I'm using Iceflare bolts. That way I can get the freezing effect to track to other enemies once you kill the frozen enemy. So you kill a frozen enemy, it creates a seeker that goes out to another enemy, it freezes them, and then you can keep that going as long as there's more enemies around to freeze. You can keep that going. You could go the route of Glacial Harvest. It's a different way. You'll make stasis crystals when you freeze enemies, and then you have to have elemental shards, so that way you can use that to have elemental charge, so that you can get charge of light when you collect these stasis crystals. The thing I don't like about Glacial Harvest is that no matter no matter what, you only get melee energy. You don't get grenade energy from this, and there's also a cooldown for warlocks. So everyone gets a cooldown for elemental shards, but warlocks also have a glacial harvest cooldown, which is like an extra cooldown that I feel is probably a little unnecessary, but I guess it's there because all you have to do is freeze an enemy. You don't have to do something crazy like shatter crystals or shatter enemies or do something like that. It's just freezing, so it's a little bit easier to get crystals, so I guess that's why. But it's not like it's breaking anything to do that, because you're not getting anything besides melee energy. I will go back and show you. There is technically a way to make it work for you if you wanted to have more than just melee energy. So you need to have elemental shards on one piece. That way, when you pick up the stasis crystals, you'll get your charge of light and other stuff that you can benefit from, but you don't get other ability energy. But if you also put on Well of Restoration on a different armor piece, it makes your stasis wells grant you additional energy for like your lowest ability, or your lowest whatever ability has the lowest energy. But when you put this on, it makes your stasis crystals, if you have elemental shards turned on, work actually like elemental wells. You'll get your ability energy for your grenade and stuff. if you use this one. So you have to use two different things. The reason why I don't love it is because now I can't use as many fire powers as I need to, so that's sort of the trade-off. But if you wanted to go a completely elemental wells route, I guess you could, but that's a different way to do it, and I think it's technically a little slower to do it that way, but we'll see. If someone wants to test it out, go ahead. For the fragments, I'm using Whisper of Shards, and the main reason why is because I wanted that 10 resilience because it got me to 100. That's my main reason why. But if you're using this, if you have any kind of weapon that has headstone, if you create Stasis Crystal, you can shatter it and it will give you a temporary boost of grenade recharge. It's not a lot, I think it's like 7 seconds or something short. It's not very long. But you get it, and it's just a little boost for a little bit, and then it wears off. It's not your main way to get ability energy back or grenade energy back. It's just a way to get additional, but it's not your main way. The second slot, I'm putting on Whisper of Torments right now, but I have been using Whisper of Fissures because I wanted to make it so that way my shatters for killing enemies or doing stasis crystals, like it's more deadly, but I wasn't getting anything out of it, so I thought, why don't I just put on Torment, because I'm taking damage all the time anyway. Why not make that work for me? So as long as I'm taking damage, I'm getting some grenade energy back. You can decide if you need this one or if you just want to have Whisper of Fissures to get more damage out, but this is probably more beneficial for getting your grenade energy so you can use more turrets, so use that. I'm using Whisper of Chains because if I'm freezing people or freezing stuff or getting stasis crystals, I get more damage resistance. It's just extra survivability. And then Whisper of Durance is here because it makes your turrets last longer. So I would use that for that purpose alone. And then on my armor, let me see. On my helmet, I have a Harmonic Siphon. So my stasis weapons will create orbs of power every other kill, basically. And then I have like 4 fire powers, so anywhere you can fit them, and then 1 taking charge somewhere, wherever you can fit it. And then on my boots, I actually have Innervation, which is every time I pick up an orb of power, I get some grenade energy back. And so the way that I make this work for me, I actually put on both. I have Innervation and Recuperation. So, you know, I get health back and I get grenade energy back. It's not the super most important to have the health, but I just have it because why not? To make this work for me, getting Charge of Light, if I have, let's say I have my supers full, usually at that point you can't pick up Orbs of Power. But if you need to get Charge of Light, like taking charge, I can pick up 2 additional orbs as long as I'm not Charge of Light at all. Or you could just put on a weapon that has Explosive Light. And what you do there is it makes it so that way you can always get orbs no matter what. Last season we had one of the things that was called, I forgot what it was called, but basically you became radiant when you picked up an Orb of Light. So I used to have that. And I used to use that as a thing so that way I can get Charge of Light that way. But we don't have that anymore, so Explosive Light is the way to go. So I have like a few things that have it. This rocket launcher here, my Hothead has it, Ascendancy has it if you have that from previously. There's a grenade launcher, a stasis one that also gets it. Whatever you can find, there are not that many things that have Explosive Light, but if you have that on you, it forces you to pick up orbs no matter what, so therefore you can always take advantage of orbs on the ground. Now, the side thing I will say, the parts of this that may not work for us is if you are not able to constantly get orbs. Let's say you're not killing enough enemies, you're with a team of random people, and they're killing everything. If they are killing everything, then you cannot pick up orbs, and then you don't take advantage of the situation. So if they are making lots of wells, I would just change my elemental, what's it called? Taking charge, I'll change it to elemental charge. Therefore, I can pick up their wells and get Charge of Light that way. Other than that, if they're making lots of orbs somehow, take advantage of their orbs if you can't make orbs yourself. And that's an additional way to get your charge of light so you can keep your turrets going. There was one particular time I played the Nightfall that just ended this week. It was at the Glassway, and I like wish I recorded it, but I didn't record it, and I'm so sad about it. But I had turrets going constantly because of that situation. We were freezing things. I was getting grenade energy back from damage. I was getting grenade energy back from orbs, and I had so many turrets up, and I was so like amazed. And I was like, man, I wish I recorded that. And I tried to go back in and do the Nightfall a few more times and try to get that same situation. And like each time, every team had a different build, and so it wasn't lining up the same way. And they were killing everything before I could get my orbs, so they weren't making orbs for me. So it didn't work out exactly the same way. But if you have a situation where you can make it work like that, you will make so many orbs and it'll be everywhere. And also, I found out like once enemies start to kind of dry up in the situation, once there aren't that many enemies around, then the situation kind of cools down and you can't make as many orbs anymore. It works best when you have lots of enemies, when enemies are not dying as fast, and where you can get lots of ways to charge up your grenade energy. You could do the elemental shards way. It kind of will, remember there's a cooldown for warlocks, so there's that part. But you can get charge of light even if you have that cooldown. That still works. As long as you charge of light, that means that when you throw your grenade, as long as you have at least one, let me see, you need at least, I would say you need at least 3 firepowers. But if you have 4, each firepower gives you 15% of your grenade energy when you throw your grenade. If you have 4, you get 60% just by throwing your grenade. If you hit an enemy with the grenade, you also get a big chunk of enemy energy that way. So you might even get like a full grenade charge back just because you threw your grenade at an enemy. So there's that. You also, let me see, you could change one of the firepowers to supercharge, I think it's called. Yeah, supercharge. That way you can get 2 additional stacks. This way you can get up to, you'll probably have 4. You can get to 5 if you use supercharge and you use charge it up, but that's too many mods right there. So you can take away 1 firepower for that, or I will just keep it at 4 firepowers. Other than that, that's what I would do. It's one way, it's not the only way. I've seen people do the alternate, like you do your cold snap, and you throw your turret, then you throw another cold snap. That works too. There's also people that use the Glacial harvest way. There's different ways to do it, so just try it out, see which one you like the most. But yes, you need lots of enemies, and you need lots of ways to keep getting stuff back to make it work. Anyway, if you like this, let me know, leave a comment, subscribe, and I thank you so much for watching.